Teamwork.
Good. What does just do winning 3 or 4 do for just the general confidence level for the group right now?
It's just amazing how you could feel like we did Wednesday night in Pullman, and then to be able to turn the tables and play the way we did in Seattle. So it was really good to see just the way we performed offensively, and again with knowing we didn't want to drop 2 games in a row and fall 2 games under 500, and we've been battling to get to 500, and so it was a very crucial performance, and it was just great to see so many guys contributing. It wasn't a one-man band out there, and just got good balance on offense and really competed hard defensively, and it was a game that Washington really needed, and they played that way. They played. I thought it was a really good basketball game.
When you look at just the standings right now in the Pac-12 and how bunched they all are together, how does the team kind of approach that? Controlling their own destiny next 10 games. Does the season kind of start?
Yeah, we can't fall into a trap thinking that we're home now and everything's great and wonderful. We gotta compete. We gotta work like we did today in practice and tomorrow, and just have a tough mindset coming into Thursday's game. But for me, it's great that we've played 8 games. 5 of them have been on the road. We don't have to play Arizona. We don't have to go to Oregon. So there are 6 of our last 10 are at home. So there's a lot of pluses that we got to take advantage of that.
And last 2 wins, Remy, Rob, and Zoe seem to be leading the charge. You talk about team identity. Is that what you kind of envisioned in the preseason?
I think in terms of Zoe, he was in a really good rhythm, and he looked good again today. He's just in a good groove, not forcing anything. I love how he was finishing at the basket in Washington, and again, it's just good to see multiple guys stepping up, and Romello White was solid again, playing against a potential lottery pick, and Isaiah Stewart, and I thought he held his own in the paint for us. And then Khalid Thomas, who give him a lot of credit. He's hasn't had the easiest season. He's been on the bench some. He's played, and for him to step into a game like that we needed and play that well it was a good sign for us.
Has Jalen Graham actually been better than you may have envisioned at the start of the year with how much he's contributed?
I just think that he's got great upside, and you're not sure how physically he's going to be able to handle himself versus older, more physical guys. But he's been up for the challenge, and he had some really good moments in the preseason that would indicate that he would be ready. Going against Romello and holding his own. So he's been another big plus for us.
You mentioned the drastic change from Washington State to Washington. Like, what do you kind of attribute some of the ups and downs of such a short stretch?
I mean, Washington State was #1 in the conference in turnover differential, and they played really hard defensively. I think we played a little too quick. We were a little too aggressive on offense, and we had 15 turnovers in the first half, and you can't afford to do that on the road. And especially with the guard play that we do have, that shouldn't be an issue for us, and it was. And so we watched the film, we broke it down, we saw our mistakes, and we tried to correct them, and simple as that, really. And I think the other thing was just our free throw shooting, and I've talked a lot about doing simple things well, and that's something that's within your control to step up to the line and make those. We didn't do it in Pullman, and it cost us, and we did it at a really high level in Seattle, and that was a big difference.
UCLA is obviously playing really well right now. What challenge do they present?
Well, they're a different team than they were early, and they've really bought into, I believe, what Coach Cronin is trying to get them to do maybe the entire year in terms of how they defend. And when you watch their last 5 games, you just see a team that's very active on defense, that's committed to trying to get stops and to rebound the ball. And they we got to have extreme mental toughness on Thursday, because they have really good athleticism. They have a lot of highly regarded players, and they're playing together and playing very well.
Alonzo was mentioning that you'll show him stats of when you guys score, or the percentage of what you score when you move the ball around the arc. How important is that to kind of get them to not have the ball sticking in one person's hand?
We encourage our guys to play with freedom, to play with confidence, to go out in the open court. If we get a turnover, a rebound, And if we have an early shot, then I want those guys to take it with confidence. When we're in the half court, if we just dribble around or make one pass and shoot, then we're not doing our offense any favors. And we're not making our opponent work. We're not getting guys get a chance to touch the basketball. And then you have, again, you're back on defense really fast. So I think the stats have shown that if we do move the ball better, we generate better possessions offense.
How drastic is it from scoring of when you guys move it and when you don't?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Berno is the guy with that, and he usually brings that in after a game, and we'll share that data, and we try and chart that, and it's alarming just how much better we are on offense if the ball changes sides of the floor a couple times in a half-court offense.
You mentioned Thomas getting some time this past weekend. Why did you decide to put him in?
Well, I mean, I'm always like, I have to look at everything in the games, and as you watch the film, I think a couple of guys had opportunities. He was in my thoughts as the Washington State game was unfolding. He didn't quite get the call in that one, but needed to try something else, and he provided a real spark, and he's going to get himself ready and try and have a big week this week.
Was this a tough transition from JC to Pac-12? Is that really attributed his issues early in the season?
Yeah, I mean, there's always a transition. I think, his attitude has been very good even when he hasn't played. He has not been divisive or negative. He's been very supportive of his teammates. He still works very hard in practice. So I like that he has not allowed himself to just to slide into the abyss. He's really maintained confidence through this, and so I'm proud that he's done those things.
What do you anticipate and I guess maybe calling the crowd to be like at 9 o'clock on Thursday night?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big time game for our season, and I just can't ask enough for everyone to come out. We're right there in the standings. We're one game behind in the loss column, and they're half a game ahead of us in the standings. And UCLA is a brand. It's one of the names, the blue chip names in college basketball. So I'm hoping that we come out, that everyone comes out. Our students are on fire, and that everyone is able to make it.
How much you guys keeping up with Z and Lou?
It was like the best news that I had on Wednesday that Lou had a career high 23. It was like the only thing good that happened for us. So I was glad. It was but he's been doing what he did for me. He's the coaches love him there at Oklahoma City. He's defending. He's rapidly developing, and he's in a great situation. And Zylan, same thing. Zylan's had some big games in the G League, and he's been up and down a little more, but they're both in a really good spot. And, I think Lou's going to, even have a chance to stay long term with OKC, and that's we're excited about it.
Z checks Zion Williamson in practice every day. So that means that anything Zion does well is because Z got him ready, which means you get the credit, which means...
That's interesting how you put all that together. I'm not going to take that much credit for that one, but I will say that it doesn't hurt that guy is going to push whoever he's going against. That's what I saw with my 2 years with Z. And the year that he sat out and wasn't playing, it was no coincidence that team started 12-0 and was really good. A lot of it had to do with those practices we had and the way Zylan competed every day.
You're leading the conference in steals right now. Is that something you anticipated going into the season, or just a pleasant surprise?
I thought we'd be in that area. I thought we would do some solid work just because of our speed and our athleticism and our on-the-ball defense with a couple of guys, particularly our guards. And so, yeah, I'm not totally surprised. We've got to try and do a good job of that this week, though.
You mentioned UCLA being the blue chip, the program, the blue blood program. What's it mean for the California guys to play against LA schools?
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to probably ask those guys independently. I don't want to speak for them, or I didn't notice any more or less motivation today or anything that they've told me that would inspire them to want to go at them more, but yeah, I'm sure it's certainly possible. Anytime I went home when I played, I always wanted to show my people that I was still pretty good, even though I was away.
Bobby, how would you rate Remy's ability to hit difficult shots or contested shots?
I mean, it's as good as anybody. I mean, Shannon Evans was like that too, had that knack for making tough shots, but it's as good as anybody I've coached, just and timely shots too. And, so when the chips are down, you know, I want that guy, you know, to have the basketball. But yeah, he can make contested and, you know, off balance, and he works on a lot of those shots. You know, off leg, you know, step backs, and he's perfected and grown, you know, in making those shots.
Is it to the point now that when he takes some of those shots, you know, usually maybe a coach would say that's a bad shot. Do you
Yes.
not even have those thoughts anymore?
I have to let him. If I follow him, I'm good, and trust him. And certainly there's film study and ways that he can continue to get better. He's still a young player, but like I'm gonna let him play free, and I'm gonna live with maybe a shot here or there that we're not happy about, because by and large, most of what he does is positive.